Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's time for some more G1 Champions League Western Qualifier action. We are in the thick of it right now. In round one of that winner's bracket, we started with 8 teams. We still have 8, but some have gotten knocked down already. And today, another one will be getting knocked down to that loser's bracket. But for this match, it's going to be Na'Vi versus Team Dignitas. You have on the side of Na'Vi, your EMS 1 champions, the second place team from the International 2. And I mention that because IG just got their invites. They've punched their own ticket to the event. And you got to imagine Na'Vi will most likely be getting an invite very soon as well. And I mean, let's be honest, they're getting an invite. If they don't, I'll be absolutely shocked. I will eat my hat. I will shave my head. Not that I have much hair left, but over on the other side, we have Dignitas, a team who didn't quite make it to the International 2. Many thought they deserved to be there, but just hit their stride a bit late. They've been making a compelling case that they deserve to be invited for the International 3. I would say probably the most consistent team from North America and one of the most consistent teams in the West. It's going to be a great match. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit. And I'm joined here today by Luminous. Lumi, we're well underway with the draft now. How you doing?
I am doing great, and I just want to talk a little bit about the 2 teams before we get into the pick and bans. A lot of viewers at home, a lot of players, a lot of casters maybe think Na'Vi most likely will be taking the match because, you know, they just recently took EMS, they're playing on fire. But one thing about the European Dota scene lately is that any top tier 1 team could easily take a best of 3 from another tier 1 team. That's why you're never actually safe, even if you're Na'Vi. I mean, Na'Vi just dropped a best of 3 against Mouseport a week ago, so you can never really count anybody out. So with that, I think we could get into the draft.
Yeah, I mean, along those same lines, you know, Na'Vi, I actually cast that best of 3, and it wasn't like Na'Vi just, you know, had stand-ins or wasn't showing up to play. That was a series where Na'Vi played all right, but Mouse just had their number, and I'm glad you brought up Mouse, because I was actually thinking about this before this match, and that series, I feel like Dignitas is somewhat reminiscent of Mouse, just in the sense that they're a team that generally likes to take it pretty late, a team that likes to pick lineups that have multiple high-impact heroes as opposed to just sort of one hard carry. I mean, Mouse will sometimes tend towards just a 4 protect 1, but they're always angling towards the late game. And when Na'Vi lost those games to Mouse, they gave Black PL, and they didn't pick enough late game to counter it. They didn't shut him down in the laning stage. It's something we'll have to see if happens in this series, but it won't be happening in this game because Na'Vi got a very, very potent mid-game lineup, a very scary late-game lineup at that. They'll get the Magnus, Gyro, and Lone Druid, so no Lifestealer actually picked up in the first 6 picks. I have no idea how that happened, but Lifestealer slips through 6 in exchange. We see some amazing heroes, but I imagine we may be seeing a Lifestealer getting banned now.
Yeah, somewhere along these 6 heroes being banned out. I'm also very surprised that Team Dignitas didn't pick up Lone Druid early on. If it's, let's say, Team Dignitas versus a team like Alliance, Lone Druid will be either banned out or picked up on the first lap because both teams has a great Lone Druid player. Of course, I'm talking about Admiral Bulldog and AUI in this case. But maybe Dignitas thinks they will have a free Lone Druid pickup, or maybe they think, hey, Luna is going to be the carry that we're going to be going for. I'm very surprised to see that Luna being picked up because, again, Lone Druid is such a go-to hero for AUI. Maybe he likes to play things like Phantom Lancer from time to time. I haven't seen him play Luna for a long while, I have to say.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, and I like what Na'Vi have done by selecting that Lone Druid as their final pick in response to the Luna. They have a hero who deals very well with Luna. Eclipse especially. You pop Eclipse, the Bear's there to soak up most of that damage, so obviously Luna, Darkseer, it kind of reminds you of LGD International, right? When the G League group stages started, they were picking this combo a lot. The Darkseer gets an early mech, the Luna gets level 7, and you just go and push. But I don't think you can really do that against Na'Vi's lineup unless you're very far ahead. You go and push, you're pushing into RP, you're pushing potentially into call down, assuming that this Gyrocopter gets farm priority, which, as far as I know, Na'Vi has not run a support Gyro. I could be wrong about that, but I expect it'll probably go to Havost and he'll be getting some farm, and I'm thinking an off-lane Funnick Lone Druid. So they get all 3 of their cores in the first stage, and then, of course, the Magnus mid for Dendi. No support heroes, and then looking at Dignitas, only 1 support for them. So both teams banning nothing but supports. Actually, Na'Vi will ban out a solo mid in the Panda and a counter to the Lone Druid as well to some extent with that Cyclone.
I thought that was a great ban. I was going to say Team Dignitas would first sure pick up Brewmaster if they had a chance to do so, simply because it's a great way to basically push through the Lone Druid, nullify his presence. If you could Cyclone a 10k worth of gold of a hero for 6 seconds, you would do that, and that's exactly what Brewmaster gives you. Warlock being banned out as well. A hero that Team Dignitas has been playing a lot recently, and when you have things like Wall on top, when you have things like Eclipse on top, the Fatal Bond is going to do a ton of damage. I'm looking towards Dignitas to pick up either Prophet or Enigma, one of their good jungler. One thing that Team Dignitas loves to do is pick a very, very greedy lineup. Basically have, I want to say, 4.5 Ricers and half a support, because the Rubik's going to rise a bit too somewhere in this game and try to out-item you in a sense.
You need another hero that benefits from farm. You need another hero that can scale with items, because Na'Vi have Lone Druid and they have Magnus. So between Entangle as well as one carry, unless that carry is like 8k gold ahead come mid game, come late game, you just start PM and you'll focus them down. So it's generally the way to deal with a Magnus is you have multiple cores, or you have heroes that can buy back and rejoin the fight. So whether it's a Prophet, I mean, maybe they look towards Lifestealer. It's not like Lifestealer is an obvious solution this game. They did ban out Bane, so they ban out one of the heroes that can deal with him, but there's already a Mag and a Lone Druid, so it's not something Na'Vi would go for, I imagine, but maybe something Dignitas at least consider here. But whether it's something like a Lifestealer or a Prophet, you want a hero who not only will get some farm priority, but a hero who can really benefit from it. I think they need a second damage dealer is the point.
They definitely do. I think it's most likely going to come from their solo mid because I'm not sure exactly where Lifestealer could go. I guess Mouseport.
What about TA or Queen of Pain?
Sure. I think
Snake
TA is going to be good. TA, in fact, is going to be a great hero pickup simply because Snake King is a great TA player. We do see the Enigma pickup here. Most likely going to be going off to the jungler. Darkseid might join him in a jungler situation if that lane on top lane is very, very oppressive. And so far, it's looking like it because Gyrocopter and Lina, that's already a ton of damage output. They just need somebody to set it up.
Kind of classic Dignitas if they end up going that direction where, you know, they run the jungle Enigma, they run the Darkseer as their offlane, or maybe he even rotates into the jungle at some point, and they will go TA. So I mentioned how Dignitas is a team that, you know, we've talked about it a lot. Every time we cast this team, it's just a common trend with them is they'll pick a lineup that needs a lot of levels in farm, but they always seem to find it. Can they do it against Navi's lineup? I think they can. I'm looking at what Na'Vi has right now. I mean, maybe you pick a Shadow Demon here and just run an aggressive tri-lane, because if you don't, as good as Lone Druid and Gyrocopter Magnus all are late game, I feel Dignitas are going to just be more effective and efficient with their time if you leave the jungle alone. So I think Shadow Demon here and aggressive tri-lane, or Ogre, and maybe they do the same thing.
So Ogre Magi, a very common trend, I want to say, as a secondary support nowadays, simply because it gives your carry heroes basically half a free Mask of Madness without the drawback, obviously. So Bloodlust is exactly not a joking
Bloodlust
spell.
Bear, Empower Bear, that's fearsome.
It's this combo that most teams are running nowadays. But before we get into that, let's quickly introduce the players. Puppy, Captain, will be playing on the support lane. It looks like they might be going offensive tri-lane. Kuroki joining him on the support role on the Ogre Magi. We do have Funnick going on the long lane here with the Lone Druid. Havos on the top here with the the carry Gyrocopter, and last but not least, Dendy going mid with the Magnus. I guess they're just going out to scout things and maybe put down a couple wards.
Yeah, real quickly, I want to mention that Dendy has been pulled a lot. You see this regen on him? Actually sitting on 450 gold right now, so he's been pulled a healing salve as well as a tango. He'll be getting one of the fastest bottles of his life. Universe, over on the side of Dignitas, we are going to introduce a team that has really been making a statement here as of late, doing really well in the DreamHack Invitational. Of course, it's your raid call champions as well. So we've got Universe, going to be handling that Darkseer. We'll have Way Too Sexy on the Enigma. Over towards Snake King, he'll be handling that Templar Assassin. Looks like he's rushing a bottle. He's been pulled a single set of tangos, so lots of mid pooling going on. Fogged on that support. Rubik used to play the mid role for this team, but I have to say has done an admirable job of transitioning into that support role, and the team, if anything, seems stronger with it. And last but not least, it's going to be AUI 2000 handling the Luna. So Lumi, with all that being said, I think it's got this aggressive challenge from Na'Vi. I think it's the perfect response. It's something they need to do, and I thought maybe Shadow Demon, but like you mentioned, they get a hero that's going to buff the carry more in the Ogre, so I suppose that's the one consideration, and he still gives you that setup stun as well.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a risky trialing simply because you rely basically getting a ton of kills, but against the way that Dignitas like to play, you have a jungler for sure, and that jungler is not exactly really good coming out helping gank unless he gets like level 3 or 4. So you have a couple of minutes to basically explode out of control. Speaking of that jungler, Way Too Sexy, perhaps this is expected.
Smart reaction. They knew Na'Vi was going to go aggressive Charlie when they see the Ogre pick, so what do? They say, let's put our Enigma where he's going to be safe. We'll put him in the enemy jungle, completely predicting what Na'Vi's doing, which, hey, it's not that hard to predict, but I like the adjustment. Of course, Enigma's not here to help, but realistically, what is he going to do? And Na'Vi, they saw that Enigma in the jungle, so now Kuroki, he's going to rotate top.
But on the same time, you're basically saying, all right, AI, good luck here by yourself. You're not going to do too much.
Great ward.
It's like, they're running into each other. Kuroki's going to take quite a bit of harass. And this is a ward coming out from the Dire side.
It's a pretty crucial ward, right? If they're running an offensive jungle Enigma, you don't want Dendi to have to sit at his tower every time Enigma's missing, because he's almost always missing. So this way you know if he's coming.
Yeah, meanwhile, you do see Dendi going in a little bit different build. Empower is going to be his pickup, which is actually a very, very smart pickup, because when you're last hitting, you're going to burn a couple of refraction charges just simply from the cleave damage, and you actually need the Empower extra damage to basically compete with refraction. I mean, refraction pushes damage to insane levels, so you need something actually to compete.
Well, Kuroki's trying to hassle way too sexy, but he's running by a massive amount of Eidolons to do it. There's a Malefice available. You don't want to burn your mana on Malefice at level 1 unless it's a guaranteed kill. He'll do so, but doesn't accomplish a lot. Way too sexy. He's got a few more clarities, so not the end of the world. But Kuroki basically just trying to slow down the jungle of Way 2. And Lumi, looking at the other lanes right now, I mean, Universe just freely creep skipping top, so Funnick getting good farm as well, but not quite as good as what, obviously, we're seeing from Universe, which is just really efficient farm so far. What do you think about the trades overall? It's a TA mid versus a mag. It's a matchup you'd expect Snake King to have the advantage in, but Dendi, perhaps due to that early pooling, as well as some good last hitting, the early point in power, is actually fine. Kuroki diving way too sexy. Can't actually find a kill here, but yeah, what do you think about the way the lanes are developing and sort of the trades we're seeing so far?
Well, I think first of all, the top lane, the Darkseer's creep skip's not going to do anything against the bear, simply because he could use the bear to tank the creep wave, and last hit under tower because he has a ton of damage. For me right now, I think Navi's winning simply because Way Too Sexy needs a ton of farm, and Kuroki is doing an excellent job, basically slowing him down, stalking him, burning a
this is first blood. Fog gets caught. There's your Light Strike Array as well as your Fire Blast, and down will go. Oh, Fogged.
Well, they were ahead, and now they're even way, way ahead with Ogre Magi picking up that first blood. That's going to be quick boots into Arcane Boots. Kuroki being so effective. Everywhere he goes, he's dewarding, he's getting kills, he's harassing Way Too Sexy. And so far on the bot lane here, Luna's not getting too much farm because, well, he's a very low range hero, and you can't really farm in lane against Havos on the Gyrocopter as well as Puppy on Lena because you get stunned once, you're dead. So right now, I think Dignitas in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and for Na'Vi, they looked at that draft and they said, we have to be aggressive here. If we're not, Dignitas just have a lineup that's going to get a ton out of the map. Enigma, one of the fastest junglers in the game. Darkseer, one of the most efficient offlaners, and you can not only farm the lane, but also what we see from Universe, which is do some pulling and then farm the neutrals as well if you'd like. So, in spite of the fact that they gave up that kill, looking at gold, they were actually ahead until that, and now only down by 250 in terms of experience. Pretty similar at that. It's not the end of the world. I think the main concern is going to be that your Luna and your TA, your two big damage dealers, are not getting farmed. So sure, your Darkseer is getting a lot for Universe, but you need at least a few core items on these two to be effective in the mid game.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and I'm not sure exactly where AI is going to find farm. Now, obviously, once the mid game comes, we're going to see a lot of stacking, and there's going to be a little bit of catch up with Glaives. But with that said, I imagine Navi will challenge those stack, or at least put an Observer Ward to delay that stack. Kuroki picks up Invis and started to look actually gank at mid lane. One very, very surprising thing to me is that he hasn't picked up Ignite. Ignite isn't the best spell, but against a Templar Assassin where you can actually burn away all of your refraction charge in one go, I feel like that's a very necessary pickup. He picks up Bloodlust early game, and it's fine, but, I mean...
Well, he's only level 2. I suppose we should sort of wait and see how he skills from here, but... The one thing they do have is Rocket Barrage. If you ever catch TA with Rocket Barrage, that refraction is gone like that. I mean, just in a matter of seconds. So, not even seconds, like 1 or 2 seconds, and it's gone pretty much.
But if anybody's rotating to gank the mid, it's not going to be Havos, so I personally find it a little bit surprising.
I don't think Na'Vi really cares to kill Snake King, not when they've pulled Dendi and he's 18 and 14 mid lane.
Sure, definitely.
Granted, maybe they didn't expect it to go this well, but it is, so... I don't think they have to shut Snake King down too much. It's not like he's going to snowball off of this start where Dendi's just straight up winning the lane. And I think a decent amount of it goes back to the pooling, but it's also just the skill build. And obviously, even with the point in power, TA still got more damage than you when refraction's up. So just great last hitting as well.
Yeah, and of course, going back to the Bloodlust, it does help your Gyrocopter to catch whoever he wants to catch with Rocket Barrage in the actual lane that he's in. So it's definitely a little bit of different, but hey, it's working out for now. And meanwhile, you do see Way Too Sexy migrating to yet another jungle. So the fact that he's going back and forth like this, normally Enigma at this point is level 6 and have a ton of farm. He's nowhere near that. So let's see if he's going to be looking to make a gank against Funnick up top, but he's level 6, so he's already got his ultimate farm.
Yeah, they're really hampering Way Too Sexy, and he's such a key hero for them because, you run this lineup where they've sacrificed the Luna's farm a bit. Aoi 2000, as we talked about, isn't getting a whole lot out of his lane. And then even Snake King struggling because of the pooling on Dandy. So that's where you look at it and say, our Enigma and our Darkseer get fat, and then we win a few team fights, and then our carries catch back up. That was sort of the thought process here, but, well, they're not really finding that big farm on Way Too Sexy. It's only Universe, and now there's going to be a Fire Blast. If he gets rooted, he's dead, but he'll be surged. Not going to get rooted. Actually, maybe wouldn't have been with the surge, but at least would have been forced back to base. But driven out of the lane again, Lumi. He's going to have to go back to his own jungle. It's just been constant pressure all game long from Kuroki. Has not given Way Too Sexy a second to breathe or a second to farm.
Yeah, the cool thing about Luna, and maybe that's a reason why Dignitas has selected, is that she doesn't actually need too much early game farm to have that big early game impact, because Eclipse will still be Eclipse, and that's going to be one of the more unique factors as a carry. I mean, what is a Spectre going to do if she doesn't have farm, for example, or a Gyrocopter who doesn't have the necessary farm? So, I mean, if let's say there's Black Hole's there, the Vacuum's there, she is going to still get a triple kill easily without farm, so that's going to be the catch-up, like you said. But speaking of catch-up here, Havos doing a little bit of his own ancient stacking, and he's already working on them, so he's going to get himself a ton of early game farm as well.
Yeah, now the one downside for Na'Vi is their supports have really been slowing down that Enigma, especially in, finding the first blood, but the trade is their supports are horribly, pretty underleveled, especially that Ogre Magi. Fairly level-dependent support. Only 1 point in Bloodlust and still 1 point Fire Blast. He'll start getting those levels now, but he'll need to play a little catch-up because Ogre, as far as supports go, obviously you want to max Fire Blast since it's a really strong nuke, and you also want to have your Bloodlust max later on in this game. It offers you a lot, whether it's chasing in fights or just that additional attack speed, and an important buff for them to have. So Na'Vi, they'll have to play catch-up for the time being, which means for Dignitas, they have some room to breathe.
Dendi looking for a room right now, runs past the traps. And Arcane Boots already picked up, so it's going to be a race through the Blink Dagger. Meanwhile, Universe on the top lane doesn't have basically anything. Have Arcane Boot finish at this point, but here comes the rotation from the supports, and this particular ward's on the Radiant side of the hill. We'll see Lina, so he should be absolutely fine. Yeah,
there's no big item on Universe, right? I mean, he's got his Arcane Boots, but for a Darkseer, that just helps you stay in lane. He's got the bottle as well. We don't see the mechanism coming out yet, but it will be coming next, I imagine, and that'll be a big item for them, because they'll need that mech in order to take the fights. The Enigma being slowed down like this, by the time he could farm a mech, it's unlikely to be that useful, in my opinion. So I imagine what we'll see is probably the mech rush from the Darkseer, and then maybe even just the Enigma straight into BKB, or even a Blink Dagger of their own, because how else will they initiate? Maybe a Surge into a Lift, but that's not a whole lot of damage to start with. You don't want Luna in the middle of the fight. Your TA is a bit underfarmed with that, so I think it's really going to have to be the Enigma who's the big source of initiation in these fights. More so maybe in other games, if you get big farm on your TA, maybe she blinks in or just runs in with the BKB. Maybe the same for the Luna with the BKB, but the way this game is developing, it's got to be about the Enigma for those initiations.
Yeah, I guess another way to look at it, which, back in the middle here, Dendi's going to skewer Snaking back. There's RP on top, but the Iron Shell is going to get the kill. So very nice rotation coming from Universe. And RP's wasted there, so, well, it's going to be a very, very good, kind of a good win here for Snaking, who is losing the CS war. And now with that kill, he's going to be firmly back ahead. It's definitely non-standard, think of it that way, but with the fact that Dignitas is building their lane, building the heroes to have so many important heroes, maybe just let them initiate on you. Hey, if they get a 2-man RP and you counter-initiate with a Black Hole, that isn't too bad, because that Black Hole is going to lead into a Vacuum, that's going to lead into a Eclipse, and generally you just win those team fights flat out like that.
Well, Way Too Sexy, he is now level 6, and there's a Black Hole to worry about, and he's located near the middle lane. Also, like we talked about, while Navi's busy catching up, there's the space for Dignitas to find farm and levels of their own, and I'm going to take another look at the graphs. I imagine they're going Dignitas' way, and indeed they are, Lumi. Up to about 1,000 gold lead and a 2,000 experience lead. Na'Vi, they stopped harrying Way Too Sexy. Oh, mid lane. Skewer in, catches out Snakey. There's 3 heroes here, but there's not a whole lot to remove the refraction charge, as you mentioned. No points in Ignite. Yep. Not able to kill him off. Maybe it would have made the difference there.
I mean, he had the second skill point. He just level up to 4, but he just put it into Bloodlust instead. So, again, I find it somewhat strange. That was a very, very important kill, because you got to stop Snaking before reaching his Blink Dagger. And, like you said, the graphs are favoring Dignitas, because I feel like there's the lack of punishment. The Radiant, they're being greedy, and they're still leading chart when Enigma's basically making a journey across the world. He went top, he went bottom, he went top again, and he's still leading his team in terms of EXP and farm. So, I gotta say, Navi's not doing enough right now.
The thing is, they ran an aggressive Charlie and they got the first blood, and it was on a Rubik. It was not on AUI 2000's Luna, and that was pretty much it. Since then, hasn't been a whole lot of pressure. Fogged is level 5, which, considering he's up against an aggressive Charlie for some points of this game, isn't too shabby at that. I mean, he's about the same as Kuroki and Puppey. Nothing amazing, but seems enough to me. And for Na'Vi, they ran this aggressive tri lane. I don't think they necessarily banked on Dignitas making all the adjustments they did, and Dignitas just being very patient with that, constantly rotating. As soon as the Ogre comes top, they send the Enigma back into the jungle, and they just keep on doing it, keep on doing it. Finally, Na'Vi kind of gives up and says, "Oh, bot lane."
They're just trying to look for... there's a ward up down. They see everybody. Smoke also used on Na'Vi, and it broke. So I think they're looking to counter-initiate. Eclipse is up, so they're looking for that free pickoff.
No. Uh-oh. Am I the only one who's lagging here?
It's lagging for me as well. We did experience a little bit of server lag last night on the G1 League. Hopefully it will pass momentarily. I don't think it's any DDoS issues, although I knock on wood as I say that.
Oh no. Okay. Oh god. Well, I don't know if it was just the two of us here at the house. I wasn't dropping any frames, so maybe just our connection to the server, but looks like while we were busy lagging, Universe was busy dying top lane, and RP was used for that. So Dendy RPs him, and then the follow-up stun comes for Puppy, I imagine, and down he goes. Well, seems like it was just us, so I guess good news for the players. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Do apologize for that, guys. Obviously, we don't control the interwebs. Unlike Al Gore, we did not invent it. But we will see an Invisor picked up by Snakehane, and he's going to rotate bottom. There's no RP, so this is a good time for Dignitas to be aggressive, force some towers, and take a fight if Na'Vi try to defend. And I think if you're Na'Vi, you just see Dignitas and say, let's trade.
I have not seen Dignitas lose once they're ahead by the Grograph by 3,000-4,000 gold, because that lead will steadily be built. They're so good at farming multiple parts of the map, and I'm talking about all three lanes. I'm talking about their jungle. I'm talking about the enemy's jungle as well as their own ancient stack, and it's so hard for any team to come back against massive deficit in terms of gold. It looks like we do have Ogre Magi rotating in, and that's a threat Ogre if Snaking ever wants to go in. If he has any disable, and here comes the Metal Strike, a couple more right click. There's a big Luna Beam to seal the deal. And that's yet more gold going to the pocket of Dignitas.
Top lane Universe will get entangled, but they'll need a secondary entangle to actually kill him off. And in fact, looks like he might be going for the mech. He's got a headdress online. As for the Enigma, 1,600 gold. I think way too sexy. Well, we'll see. Could be saving for that Blink Dagger up to now 1,900. So if he wants the Blink, maybe he goes for it here. If he gets a BKB, though, then they have to RP him, or he's got a black hole in these fights. And that could be pretty huge. So I feel like the BKB might be the better choice, but we'll have to see what direction he goes, and you could make an argument for either. They get the towers. They get a tier 1 bottom and a tier 2 bottom, and it was all because Dendy used RP top. Now, not to say it's the wrong decision, but it's just Dignitas identifying that RP's down and exploiting it. And for Na'Vi, can they fight without RP?
I mean, I don't think right now. I mean, even if you get a 2-3-man RP, sure, you're going to kill one just because of RP damage and Skewer and Shockwave, but you're not going to get too much aside from that. And if you commit too many spells, it's very easy for Radiant to basically fight you back and punish you. It looks like we're going to see a big smoke gank up top. Snaking already have drums and treads, and that's going to be a very powerful mid-game build-up. It's
both team smoke. Na'Vi are here as well. I don't know if they realize they're already ready to Dignitas. Indeed, they are. Trap detonates on 2. Puppy's going to get sliced apart by the side blades of Snakehane, and now the dive onto the tower. They want some more. They're out for blood. Dendy, no teleport scroll, no TP scroll. Oh, this is bad for Na'Vi. They don't have that RP backup, even though it's all available. Now the dive on Funnick. Can Dendy get a TP in time? He picks up a double damager, and he's not even close to the courier, so no way he's getting one. Funnick's going to drop as well. That's 2 cores dead, or sorry, support as well as a core. They also lost their Lina in the, or no, sorry, not their Lina. They're no, they just lost 3 heroes. Yeah, they did. 3 heroes.
They lost their Lina as well. Meanwhile, you see Dendy making a smart play, trying to pressure the mid tower. You could definitely do that as a Magnus, but unfortunately, quick TP coming back from Snaking. Let's say if Gyrocopter was farm, or let's say if Na'Vi had a Luna, in that case, the Dendy TP with the RP would have definitely turned out around, but they don't have heroes like that, and that's definitely a knock against like early game Gyrocopter who doesn't have those early game level pickup or item pickup, because they can't really turn team fights around as easily.
Yeah, while Na'Vi was busy roaming around, while we saw Kuroki trying to badger and harass and just deny Way Too Sexy's jungle farm, that was where there was less support in the lane for Havost. He was in an offensive tri-lane, then it became, so for times, a solo lane. That's why we saw him stacking the Ancients, just trying to farm them with to what extent he could with the flat cannon, but the trade was there, and now Way Too Sexy, where he stopped getting farm once they left the lane, and now Way Too Sexy up to almost 3,000 gold. Probably, I imagine saving for the BKB and just figures, I'll buy it when I have it, but he's getting fat, man, and I feel once he gets a BKB, Dignitas can just 5-man, and unless Dendy hits an incredible RP, I don't see Na'Vi really taking a fight.
Well, it looks like Surge from Universe, maybe.
Speaking of incredible RPs, just got his blink.
Well, Dendi RP is
Oh no, that's not good. That root gaming, way too sexy, could be in trouble. City on 3,000 gold. He'll be mech back up. Now surged away. Dendi jumps in. RP only catches Fog. Can they bring him down? He will use some abilities, so there won't be an RP stolen, but it is the shockwave that was stolen, and now Dendi goes down on the backside. It's going to be AUI 2000. Pick out Puppy, now diving. Havost in trouble. Rocket Barrage is there, but it's just not enough. Now Snake King being surged in that Ion Shell. Surge, meld, death. And on the other backside, it's Funnick diving and chasing as his lone druid. Might find Fogged here, but I imagine will be trading his own life to do so. No teleport scroll on him. Still on the run. Face boots on the bear. Maybe you try and give them to your hero. Not actually taking damage, just eating a trap. Still they chase. Still they chase. They want this kill. Can they get it in Tangle in Universe? The creep almost blocking. Funnick's gonna find a haster. Yo, Izzy, the trap is there. He is gonna get it. And down away he'll go, surfing to victory. What a hasterin for him.
What a surf here from Funnick. Lucky hasterin. That could have been death, but regardless, I think Tier 1 tower is going to be going down because of the RP. I mean, like I said earlier, sometimes the best initiation is just to let them go on you. If you lose one hero, it's not the worst deal, because you have so many other teamfight spells. And here they come, Dignitas looking to extend their lead by taking this Tier 1 tower. It's gonna be Necrobook. I personally love a tanky Enigma, and we're gonna see a big tanky Enigma. Looks like we're gonna see Surge and Puppy gonna get 2 hit again. Vacuum, wall, where's the black hole? No black hole just yet. You're way too sexy, looking for that position. Havos and Dendi, they're trying to help the team, but I think Tier 2 tower might be in big trouble.
Dignitas really snowballing at this point, Lumi. They're up by 10,000 gold nearly, over 5,000 experience. Map control fantastic. Wards in both of the 2 lanes they pushed in. Bottom lane no longer having a ward, but they do have a trap here as well. And while I might say Na'Vi have the better late game if they're equally farmed, it's not by a long shot. If anything, it's quite close, and very much, I think, comes down to the execution of the team fight. And right now, much easier to execute Dignitas' team fight when they have the mech to fall back on, now the plate mail in Universe as well. You look at Na'Vi, who's going to build a mech for them? It's not going to be your lone druid. He's already gone armlet. The 2 supports, not getting any farms, so maybe it's even Dendi who goes back. But if he does, it's going to be so late, doesn't even matter. So Dignitas with the big team fight items, and now the Necrobook and way too sexy with some additional push power, they're in fantastic shape.
Yeah, usually Na'Vi have better late game if they're even farm, but the farm's not anywhere even, right? Remember what I said about Dignitas? I have not seen them lose once they have this lead, because they're so good at keeping their lead, and they're so good at extending that lead. Look at AUIs already starting to work at multiple stacks in the jungle. Dignitas supports are very smart in terms of making sure they're always making those pulls, and that's why their carry player AUI is always further and further ahead. And we spoke about their team fight. It's easy to execute, it's easy to fall back to, and I don't see them losing unless they make big mistakes. And I think one of the ways to come back, if you're Na'Vi, is to actually take a Roshan, take an Aegis for yourself. But look at how scary to do Roshan is against this particular team, against Vacuum, against Black Hole, as well as multiple traps. They will always see you. So
Speaking of sneaky Roshan, how easy can Dignitas do it? With Meld, with Eidolons, and Necronomicon, plus Luna Aura? That amount of physical damage, Roche will drop in probably 20 seconds. Imagine if you get a DD rune on the TA or the Luna, that is even faster, so I mean, it could easily be Dignitas who end up sneaking that Roche.
Yeah, imagine if this Tier 2 falls on the mid lane, that's going to be one of their big objectives for Team Dignitas. If they see opening, if they pick off 1 or 2 supports, they're definitely going to go for it. So Na'Vi this mid tower is going to be so important. And right now, Dignitas putting a slight amount of pressure here. Universe is going to be going for Shiva Scar, something that we don't see too often, but one of his personal favorites. And it's going to be very good against a team that's based around Bloodlust, right? So that's going to really cut away on some of those attack speed bonus that Ogre is trying to provide.
One thing that I find interesting while we're sort of talking about these small little intricacies of the game that could have a big impact, Snake King has been very explosive on his Templar Assassin. I think there's been one game that I've cast where he struggled, but by and large had great success, and I feel the secret recipe for that success is Universe's Darks here, because he's constantly being surged and Ion Shelled in the fights. Sometimes he'll even skip the Blink Dagger, and we see it this game, he's able to. And sure, he's getting this move speed, but having Surge, Ion Shell just makes it so much easier for you to get into the fights, quickly clean some up, and get out safely. And now we'll see a Surge in on the top lane, looking to go in Havost, who looks to be in a lot of trouble. He will look for a cooldown. He'll drop it now, but takes too much damage, goes down quickly. The Enigma gets blown up. Way too sexy, will fall, but they do get that Gyrocopter as well as the Lina. And for Na'Vi, not really finding a trade. They're going to lose a tier 2 top, and I think for Dignitas, drop some wards here. Go mid. Push the lanes out, and you get that one extra tower that you mentioned. It's Roche time, and then from there, I think it's just a matter of sieging the base. Na'Vi, they're not out of it, but they can't. If they lose 1 or 2 more fights, then they're going to be in a very precarious position.
Down by 10,000 gold in 20 minutes of gameplay. Also, Rubik stole Laguna Blaze, so somebody's going to be on the receiving end of a huge nuke later on. So I think Dignitas is going to be basically all 5 mid. Sure, they have lost their Nigma, but Nigma's going to come back. He still have his black hole available. Maybe they're going to, if they want to play really safe, they could wait for the Eclipse to come back on. It will take quite a bit, but they have a lot of places to farm. For example, the Ancient stack is pretty stacked up, so AI could swing by and take that one and wait for the ultimate to come off cooldown. We haven't really talked about his item build. Shadowblade into Helm, so not exactly standard. Normally you see BKB and drums, but so far, hey, it's working out fairly well.
I imagine it was, the thought process is, we have the more mobile we are, the harder it's going to be for Denny to hit a big RP, and the faster we can split push. And for Na'Vi, well, they want to just turtle, eventually have that big team fight with Gyro, who's starting to get items, and then you have, your flat cannon on top of your RP. But if you have an item like Shadowblade, harder to find that big RP in the fights, and going to be harder to find that farm when the lanes are constantly being pushed in. So, I mean, obviously, who knows for sure? It's a bit of an unconventional item choice, but I think it just screams Dignitas, typical Dignitas, not really. They'll take some fights, but they're not going to try and end the game now. They'll end the game when they're damn well and ready, and when they have the items they need. One of the most patient teams, I would say, in the Western scene, and especially in the North American scene.
Yeah, I'm going to make a reference back to about a year ago, about this time. If you guys remember the old mouse sport of Sing Sing, Sexy Bambo, Come With Me, I think those are the core players. They're complete opposite of that. The old Mouseport team, they love to dive past your tier 3 towers for kills. They like to make big plays. And Dignitas, Dignitas, they're so reserved. They always make the right play. And sure, it might not be the most kind of fun style to watch, but in my opinion, that's what wins the games consistently. And that's why Dignitas, one of the most consistent team nowadays. And again, like I said earlier, I think they could definitely take a best of 3 from Na'Vi. And so far in this particular game, they're looking very, very poised to do so.
Just win, baby, win. And that's the saying at the end of the day. So do whatever it takes to get the job done. And right now, Dignitas doing what it takes. Not taking any bad fights. Not giving Na'Vi the openings. And now I start to worry for Dendy. Because with Fogged having some decent levels, sure he doesn't have big farm yet, but there's a lot of control to prevent Dendy from finding a big RP. And with the mobility of the Templar Assassin, who's got phased drums, now Manta. So Manta drums, and then of course Surge, then the Shadowblade. It's gonna finding those 3 core heroes very difficult. They're all elusive in the fights.
Yeah, I consider Enigma as a core heroes as well.
Yeah, it's a quad core.
That's what I mean. They pick 4.5 semi carries and be like, "Good luck, guys, winning a team fight," because you're gonna have to basically RP 4 of us and then follow and kill like at least 3 of us. And it's just hard for any team to do so.
Intel AMD, you ain't got shit on Dignitas. Actually, they probably do because they have 6 core processors at this point, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that was a good one, I gotta say. I give that a 9.5 out of 10.
I think that's a little more generous. The chat's probably flaming you right now, but I'm okay with that. Worth it. Worth it. Totally worth it. So, for Na'Vi, just kind of sitting back right now, and it's all about Roshan. They really can't... First of all, they're hemmed in just by the lanes being pushed and the fact that Dignitas are mobile enough to gank them anywhere. The other thing is, Lumi, I mean, if they leave this tower and they lose a fight, they lose Roche, they lose their tier 2. They may just lose the game on that one fight.
Yeah, and speaking of which, look at how Radiant's farming. AES in his jungle, Universe pushing out top, and I think the reason that, looks like Na'Vi trying to do something of their own. This is a pretty bold move, and like you said, Sneak Roche, yeah, they walk in, couple of Mail Strikes, a ton of damage being provided by Luna Aura, and there's gonna be the Aegis, and there's nothing that Na'Vi can do about it.
Na'Vi was busy, parked, smoked up behind Havos bottom, and I imagine Dignitas just saw him bottom and said, there's no way he's by himself when there's not even a tier 2 up. He's got to have backup. Let's just take Roche, or maybe not even carry where Na'Vi is, just say we could take it anyway. The other nice thing about the Shadowblade, makes you afraid to push by yourself, because you never know if that Luna's going to be there, and now we're going to see Snake King threatening, posturing to dive into this tower. Not going just yet. They'll chip away at the tower, they'll back on out of there, and they can keep on doing that. And they can keep on doing it for a while. We'll see Centaur actually taking a lot of damage. AUI, even going to deny his own Centaur. Insult to injury. Universe, Mystic Staff online, almost has the Shivas. I feel it's actually a crucial item for them in this fight. I'd like to see him just go and farm it before they push. Yeah, he's so close.
He's basically 25 go away. Maybe he's going to just eat a creep somewhere with the Iron Shower or something and then deliver it. The chicken's back to base. I think this fight you're going to see the power or perhaps the lack of power of a Bloodlust. It's only level 2, but it's making Gyrocopter so mobile. Are they going to try to go for a pick off him way too sexy? If you pick him off now, you delay the push for at least about a minute because Dignitas, I don't think they'll push with 4. Not right now.
I think Na'Vi oh, not again. Oh, looks like we're going to settle down real quickly. Just a bit of a hiccup. I think they really have to. If you don't find that pick, the push comes. And the beauty of the way Dignitas is playing is that there's a threat of that big group up and push, but it's not like they're trying to force it. They're content to leave the threat there, maybe apply a little bit of pressure. Then they go back to split pushing. So they're giving Na'Vi kind of a left hook and then a right jab, and Na'Vi seemed like they're expecting only the left hook. They were trying to prevent the big group up and push by heading bottom, but in the end, well, Dignitas perfectly content to farm their own jungle, play Starvation Dota. And this is how Dignitas wins games. By and large, it's getting the lead and keeping the lead. It's like you said, they get ahead by 3,000, 4,000 gold. They rarely give that up. It's definitely possible to give it up, just because of the lineup that Na'Vi has, but the more Dignitas farms, I feel the harder and harder it gets for them to give it up.
Well, I mean, Na'Vi, if we want to continue the boxing jokes, or boxing references, they're like the butterfly. They're very floaty. They just went on the bot lane, snuck a tier 1 tower, not even punished at all, so they're taking...
I'm going to punch a holes in your theory. Here's why. Your base towers can't dance. They can't move. They sit there. Dignitas comes at them. They fight or they die.
Oh, come on, man.
The heroes can dance. The buildings can't.
All I have to say is that most other teams would have just stayed at tier 2 mid, being very, very static, and basically just wait till their death. Na'Vi says, all right, if we see any opening, we'll sneak it, and that's 1,000 gold in their pocket. The bear on the mid lane here got to be very careful because, well, it's taking Mel damage, it's taking Malefice damage, and a ton of right click coming in from Snaking. Look at how aggressive Snaking is.
It's all about Universe. There's your vacuum, your Shivas as well. The wall gets deployed. Big damage being done. Down goes Kuroki. It was just a bait to set up Universe. He found the opening. He'll go on in, and now Havost on the run as well. He'll be mech'd up. They're still chasing. If Snaking can find a meld crit, they'll bring him down. So they get the 1-kill Lumi. They get the tower. It's only an Ogre, and they did drop the wall. But they get the tower, and I don't even know if they'll commit. Probably just siege, chip away. Don't necessarily have to go full throttle here.
They can commit. They still have Aegis on Templar Assassin. They still have the Black Hole, so wall might be used, but wall at this point is just really for a little bit of extra damage, right? It's just a nuke at this point here. Snaking gets rooted up. He doesn't have Manta up just yet, but he's actually just fighting the bear. Doesn't really care. Still has the Aegis. Havos sitting in the front line. Are they going to burn this Aegis? No, he's actually fine as well, so I think they're going to refill up, hold back a little bit, and then continue pushing.
Yeah, why burn it? You've got like a good 3 minutes left on it. Just taking a quick look at the Roshan clock there, and I think you just keep on playing Starvation Dota. You got the tier 2 mid, put some aggressive wards up. One thing I would like to see from Dignitas that we haven't yet, get a gem. You have the map control, you have the farm on your supports. I mean, maybe it's not Fog who buys it, maybe it's even something where you say, way too sexy, can you pick up the gem? Or, heck, let Universe buy it. Sitting on 700 gold right now. Probably actually the best candidate, since way too should really get a BKB as this game goes longer. But if they get a gem, Na'Vi are not going to be able to leave their base. They don't have a mobile carry like an anti-mage, an elusive carry. They have good teamfight carries, pushing carries in the Lone Druid, the Gyro, but not heroes that can split push and farm freely against what Dignitas has. So get that gem. Na'Vi are kind of trapped in their base.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a Necro 3, so if he does want to pop it and roam through the river and try to pick off a couple of wards, he could do so as well.
True.
He's going to TP down mid.
It's like a poor man's gem, basically.
I don't agree with, I mean, sorry, I don't disagree with you. I feel like gem is just a very well-worth purchase. And look at, are you going to backdoor a tower? In fact, they all smoked up to backdoor that tower. And, well, that's...
Get what you can.
The heroes are like butterflies. That's all I'm going to say, man.
Na'Vi are the butterfly. Will their buildings turn into butterflies and float away? This is not StarCraft. You can't lift off your command center and move it to a new base. Unless there's been a mod to this. That would actually be a great Dota mod, but yeah, that's...
I'm not sure about that one. You're like, where the hell's the tier 3 towers?
Can you imagine just like floating it off and hiding it in the tree somewhere? Oh, that would be so good. Then Batrider would be broken because he's always flying.
Well, in any case, Snaking's walking right in. If you get a root on him, you burn his Aegis. Well, there's a root. Where's the Manta? Manta away, my friend. No, he's fighting. He's fighting. He says, all right, you have my Aegis. No.
He's got to burn it soon. It doesn't have long left. He'll actually run into the tower. He wants this Aegis to pop, but he doesn't want to die under the tower. He might just get RP'd again. He'll go down now. A little bit far for Denny to engage. That was close. Had like maybe 30 seconds at most, I feel, before that Aegis expires. And back they'll go, Lumi. Round 2. He's got a haste turn, by the way.
Yeah, he pops the Manta a little bit prematurely. It's going to be actually tough to push into this because Havos as well as that bear could tank quite a bit in front line and destroy that creep wave very, very quickly. And the Radiant is not exactly really too good at initiating. I mean, the best initiation is surging the Nick in for a black hole, and that's really trying to force it.
I mean, the one thing for Dignitas, like, they've gone for these fantastic split pushing items, these good mobility items. they're not really the optimal items just to enter and break the base. They don't... Sure, a Necro is good for pushing. It's not an item where Enigma just mans up, pops the BKB, and you run the hell away. It's an item where you throw your Necro minions at the tower, they hit it a little bit, you back off. So Dignitas, it's important that they played that the way they did. If they had tried to force the fight, if they had maybe... I mean, even if Snake King goes up and starts hitting the tower, gets entangled in Mantas, you know, maybe gets RP'd under that tower and dies anyway. And what is AUI 2000 going to do when he's sitting on, yeah, sure, a Butterfly and a lot of lifesteal, but no BKB? I feel they could just get 1 RP, 3-4 man RP'd, and instantly lose the fight and a big chunk of their momentum. So I like how they backed off, and I think that's what they should continue to do. Unfortunately, Navi's finding some farm now, so give them a little space, they'll take every inch.
Yeah, Navi's definitely playing it for what's worth right now. Havos showing himself up front. I mean, he's easily be able to really push out with his flat cannon. And you know he has backup, so he doesn't feel too unsafe walking forward like this. I don't think Navi's out of this game by any means. If they turtle pretty well, it's going to be tough for Dignitas to push up the hill. And I think... For that, I think Templar Assassin might be a little bit better off if he picked up a Desolator instead of Chrysalis, because that's going to at least help you push down towers. I don't think he lacks damage by any means, and Desolator gives you more damage anyway, so maybe he's just looking for big crits.
Gank the bear, here we go. Oh man, having some flashbacks to some really long Asian games where the bear would get ganked repeatedly, and yeah, you can't crit towers, that's the one thing, but we'll see if that even comes into play. Smoked up, heading down the middle lane. Navi just lurking around the Roche pit. Roche is respawning soon, and Navi might be caught unawares as Dignitas circles around. They're going to walk right over Sentry Ward as Navi watching that Sentry Ward. Snake King just crossed the path. Navi now backing off. It's a bloodlusted Kuroki. The smoke will be revealed. Way too sexy. Oh, no, sorry. He's invis. He revealed them. They didn't actually see him, and now the cooldown will come through. Way too sexy. Dropping low. Doesn't have the BKB. AUI 2000 with a nice eclipse. The bear tanking. A good amount of it. Kuroki on the run. Havost, his BKB about to wear off. Dendi not able to find the openings. Now Puppy being focused down. Or sorry, Funnick at that. The Lone Druid. He'll go down, and now they've cornered Puppy. They'll bring him down as well. Didn't have the opening for the RP. And outside of the base, it's hard for Navi to find that well-orchestrated team fight they need.
Yeah, and because the Radiant has multiple cores, they were actually initiating on Way Too Sexy, and normally a team fight lineup built around Enigma, they just lose a team fight flat out because they don't have that black hole. Enigma didn't even need to use a black hole. He wasn't even in position to black hole. They didn't need it because they had wall, they had vacuum, they had Eclipse up top, and suddenly everybody's dead, and now Dignitas fully breaching into the enemy base.
Dendi is lurking. He's in position to maybe hit a decent RP, but he will skewer. Snake King back in. Bling, bling, bling down. A couple of things there as well, but Havos gets vacuum back in. Thrown up. He doesn't have his BKB. Is on cooldown. They'll bring him down as well, and this is probably going to be at least 1 lane of Rex, and possibly 2. Bottom lane's pushing it as well. No, they'll force out a buyback, then they'll look to back off. So Snake King, oh man, he's going to man up. Puffy doesn't have a ghost step, just they won't go in all the way. Snake King eats the stun. I wonder if they're going to stand and fight this. They still have Black Hole. Dendi still has reverse polarity. Surprisingly few ultimates this game.
I mean, again, that's not because Dendi is playing poorly. I think Dignitas just splits so well. They're never going to give you that 5-man RP because that's the only way they could possibly lose at this point in the game. So just stay spread open. If you can't land a black hole, you can't land a black hole. It's not the end of the day because, I mean, look at the way that he's building his Enigma. No BKB, no Blink Dagger. It's just a sign that he doesn't even need to land a black hole. He just needs to stay around, eat a couple of nukes, provide his stuns, provide Necro minions, and you just slowly win the team fight. You just outlast him.
Maybe he'll just get a heart.
Sure.
He's going tank
or
up.
Radiance, whatever, you know? Or maybe, hey, Rod of AUI, that works as well.
YOLO! Hopefully not. Daedalus now complete on Snake King. And he's got a haste remodeled for good measure. Not that he really needs it. And sure, Daedalus doesn't actually... It's not the best tower killing damage. It still gives you a lot of damage at that. And they've got 1 lane of Rex Lumi. I think you just slow roll it from here. And that's something Dignitas, well equipped to do as a team, very comfortable with. They're in great position in Game 1. And Na'Vi, despite being your EMS champions, looking a little bit mortal here in Game 2. But it's Na'Vi. There's always that potential for a comeback. They may even try to steal a Roche. They'll do some bit of warding here for Dignitas.
You can't steal that Roche. There's a trap. That Roche is standing right under. They're saying, oh, Roche is being taken right now.
Oh no.
Here comes
Hasted Snake King. This is bad. This is very, very bad. Havos caught in the river. There's your vacuum as well. The BKB gets deployed. Snake King actually taking a decent amount of damage. The Laguna thrown out. He is going to live. Way too sexy. Gonna Malphus the Bear. Can they focus it down? It's actually very, very tanky with the Vlad's armor as well as the Armlet armor. And they will back off. Nobody dies.
Nobody dies, but BKB charge is down, Havos, so...
And Na'Vi are going to have to back because AUI 2000, he just pushed in the middle lane.
Well,
soon. Maybe not yet.
Yeah, the creep equilibrium will basically push it back. So I think if you're Dignitas, you don't send everybody in. You send Snake King by himself. You slowly take down the Roshan. AJ
That'll
gets
go.
picked up.
RP is there by Dendy. Oni catches way to it now. There's Shiva's going to turn the fight around. Big damage by the Eclipse. The support's taking every last ounce of drop of it. Puppy going to drop soon as well. He may go Scepter. He ain't getting out of this one. GG. Na'Vi getting thoroughly thrashed in game 1. They end this game down 19-5. 20,000 gold as well as 25,000 experience. A convincing and dominant game 1 performance of the best of 3 from Dignitas.
Looks like they're complaining the fact that you have to play till the end of the game. Whatever, no big deal. I just want to point out, look at the go graph. Like predicted, you give that 5,000, 4,000 gold to Dignitas, the way that they draft, the way they play, they don't look back. And they're doing it against the EMS champion, so, you know, give credit where credit's due. Dignitas is playing some good Dota.
Yeah, Na'Vi looked really strong on land, and, you know, they've got such a talented lineup, but I feel they do struggle sometimes against these lineups that are just really, really greedy. Na'Vi a team that's, and good at playing defensively. Na'Vi a team that's accustomed to being aggressive, finding their groove, and then kind of snowballing from there. Regardless of what hero Denny's playing, you know, just, we'll have our one final fight here. Na'Vi, they've called GG, but they're going to fight it out until the bitter end. In comes Universe, the black hole is there, and only catches the poor Ogre.
Is that the first black hole?
Yeah, I think it's our first black hole of the game. Havost in trouble as well, being focused, being brought down quickly. Godlike on Snake King. Boy, he's really finding the kills. Crit, crit, crit. Down goes the Lina. And our first black hole of the game will be a punctuation mark, an exclamation point on a convincing game 1 performance from Dignitas.
Yep. The King is back. Snake King, not exactly dominating the mid, but had a snowball performance in the mid game on the back of his team playing very well as well. Game 1 in the books. Team Dignitas will take it against the TI2 second place finisher, the first TI2 or TI3 invitee. But we're going to be back with Game 2 and maybe Game 3 as well. Don't go anywhere, guys, because Beyond the Summit is coming back really, really soon.
Stay tuned, guys. Game 2 of the best of 3 coming up next. Dignitas, they want to punch that ticket to China, just like all these teams want to make their case that they deserve a ticket to the International 3. Game 2 coming up next. Who will it be? Dignitas taking it 2-0 or Na'Vi forcing Game 3? We'll find out after this.